Hello ladies and gentlemen, it's the Historical Gamer once again, and today we're returning to Ultimate General Civil War. We're in the midst of our Union campaign. I believe this is part 9 of my Let's Play of the Union campaign. So far we've won every battle and engagement that we fought, and we're now well into the first day of the Battle of Shiloh on April 6, 1862. In a previous video we briefly talked about the history of the actual battle on April 6. We talked about how the Confederates attacked, the Union resisted stubbornly. The Confederates eventually overran Union forces, but they were stopped near the Hornets' Nest. They eventually surrounded and destroyed the Hornets' Nest, but the time that area bought the Union for its defensive delayed any serious Confederate attack. There was actually a period there where the Confederates had a wide open road into the rear of the Union Army on April 6, but they failed to take that. They were drawn to the sounds of the guns, and as a result, they missed a golden opportunity perhaps to destroy Grant's army on the banks of the Tennessee River. In this video, this is again from that live stream that I fought this on, and I had originally intended for this video to be looking at the history of the Battle of Shiloh for the second day, because again, we discussed April 6th, but we didn't discuss April 7th yet. However, I'm actually going to revisit that decision because there will be a second day's fighting in here. Remember, this is a 2-day battle, and I'm currently in the midst of fighting that 2-day battle, so I see no reason to discuss the history of April 7th until we actually get to the part of the battle that represents April 7th. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and we're going to jump back into the audio for the live stream for this game. One thing I will say ahead of that, one thing that you'll notice is we're not fighting on any objective points at the moment. That's because the battle has sort of followed the historical narration, where even though we've held the Confederates off, we still hold the Hornets' Nest, we still hold our left, we are being compelled by the game and its sort of magical hill concept to withdraw our forces further north to the historical last defensive line. So as I mentioned, on April 6th, the Union forces resisted the Confederates. There was fierce fighting near Shiloh Church. Eventually, Confederate attacks overwhelmed the Union and pushed several Union divisions back in disarray. The Confederates, rather than moving down an open road, which of course they didn't know was an open road, to the Union rear, were drawn in to attack the Hornets' Nest, which is where George B. Gamer is on the map here. With that defensive near the Hornets' Rest, more than 15,000 Confederate troops were held at bay by some 4,000 Union troops until the Union were eventually destroyed and forced to surrender. However, the Union that delayed the Confederates by hours and caused them to fail to attack the Union force. They did advance north toward the banks of Pittsburgh Landing, where the Union formed one final defensive line along the Tennessee River, which Beauregard failed to launch a late-night assault against. 2 Union divisions arrived late in the day to take up positions along this defensive line you see up here in these defensive works, and then the second day's battle is what we'll discuss in the next video. In this video, you can see here we've held the objectives we need to hold. We're now falling back to the defensive positions up north, not because we need to. You can see we're holding these lines pretty steadily. We're a little bit weak on the right, but we're holding the line pretty steadily. The main reason we're falling back is because the game is compelling us to, and the Confederates are going around our flank a little bit here as well. We're having to buy some time to get our troops up north. But with all of that being said, with me giving you a long-winded intro into this video, we're about 4 minutes in. Let's go ahead and jump back into the live stream audio. Please, as always, leave your comments, your thoughts. Is this series getting a little bit stale in the tooth? Are you looking for something a little bit more than what I'm providing? I have a few ideas on how to liven the history up a bit, so it's not so much me talking about playing the same game over and over again, and allows me to both play the game and talk about a bit of history. They're going to require a lot of work on my part, research, time that I don't have right at the moment, but I will definitely pursue these ideas. I'm just not sure if you guys prefer the history method or if you prefer the gameplay discussion method. So let me know your thoughts below. Until then, anyway, guys, I hope you're enjoying the video. I hope you're enjoying the series. Feel free to comment below, but I'm going to jump back into the live stream audio. Thanks again. Okay, so we've got reinforcements coming up. We're going to put you on the far right. All right, so reserves are coming up. We can immediately... Oh, God. These guys are close already. Enemy's going for the objective. Charge! This is suicide for this cavalry unit of ours, but it'll buy us needed time. All right. That probably bought us the time we needed. Tolbert, we're actually going to put you on the flank. Gibson, we're going to put you in this objective. Springfields. Troops are all slowly pulling north. Up this road. The artillery is ours as well. We'll pull them out. We'll leave Hazen's brigade of the Army of the Ohio behind. Okay. Bruce, you'll stay back. Okay, so the enemy is coming up. We've got these gunboats here on the flank that are firing into the enemy cavalry on our flank. We've got our troops behind defensive works. Loomis will move over to our flank. Anchor that part of the line. That actually should be relatively safe with those gunboats there. We're leaving behind 2 brigades of the Army of the Ohio, mainly just to act as a thorn in the enemy's side. Don't really care what happens to them. It sounds horrible, but they're not my men. Claiborne's brigade's almost destroyed. I just don't know what's going to be left of the Confederate Army. I can't fathom how they'd still be attacking in this scenario. So known as the Confederates, if you don't take the Hornets' Nest, you lose the battle right then and there. But I guess that's not the case here. Okay. So basically we held long enough for reserve to come up. And then I think tomorrow will be the counterattack, probably. Although we held all of these objectives thus far. So I'm not quite sure how this battle continues. But at this point I'm more interested in preserving the lives of my troops who have fought so valiantly, so that I don't have to rebuild my army completely. Because all these reserves that have come up and these guys that I've left behind don't really matter because they don't carry over from battle to battle. You know, the Irish Brigade, I want to make sure I maintain them and them. Hall's battery, good strong battery, want to make sure I maintain that. My own self. So they have pushed us back. I guess this will end up being a 2-day battle. But at this point it's a little anticlimactic, I think. Right? Oh, we can put artillery forward here? Nice. The artillery has a lodgement, a defensive lodgement in front of the infantry. Kind of cool. Ass's guns are a little bit light, but we'll go ahead and put these guys forward. Our supplies are all empty. Okay. So Kind of settled into our positions here. Exception of the troops I left behind, which are tying down some enemy. They're all in good defensive terrain, so... These artillery pieces are behind defensive works. It shields them from cover and allows them to be closer to the enemy to fire canister into them. And yet the infantry behind them can still fire, interestingly enough, so... Very useful entrenchments. These guys' efficiency is way down due to losing their commander. Their morale is high, stamina's high, firearms and melee high. Gotta be gaining a lot of experience in this fight. Yeah, they're blocked, so they can't shoot over. These guys could go over here, though, maybe. Fire through this gap. It looks like the Springfield Brigade is. Nelson, I hope he's not one of our commanders. These guys are about to get destroyed. But again, the enemy's tying down a large number of their troops. As historical, dealing with the Hornets' nest, rather than driving north. And the enemy's withdrawing almost across the entire front. Now these were sidewheel steamers. These were not ironclads. So this looks a little bit inaccurate in that they look like they're ironclads. Huzzah! We pushed them back. Alright, let's fast forward this thing. Okay, the enemy can do their thing down there. Breckinridge's Corps. McGowan will extend our left. Yeah, but the guns that I've put forward aren't in my own command, so if we recover them at the end, we may get free guns. That's a horrible gamey kind of way to think about it, right? But I'd be happy with some free guns that we recover, because, you know, how you recover when you hold the battlefield, you recover your guns at the end of the fight. Look at this enemy line all up here dealing with the Hornets' nest. Or what's left of it, as well as Bruce's brigade. Well, that fell. And despite these overwhelming odds, they're giving about as good as they're getting. Alright, so if the enemy comes forward in these open hills, they're going to get pounded by these ironclads on the flank. Someone just retreated through our lines. I don't know who's... Oh, that's probably the guys who were destroyed at the Hornets' nest. I don't know why this brigade thinks it's a good idea to advance on the far right, but I'll give them a little spoiler alert. It's not. There's Bruce's brigade, or being routed from the field. And unless the enemy's going to make a concerted effort, one brigade testing us in open ground, it's not a concerted effort. I think I'll just kind of let this thing run down. We'll see. And they've got a few forces here that are mounting up, but... Maybe they'll try the Spotsylvania approach and bring overwhelming odds against one tiny segment of our line? Not sure. Cavalry repulsed. Look at Claiborne started with over 2,000 men. That's all he's got left. I'm not too worried about this on our left. These guys are actually losing worse than they're getting, and they're behind breastworks. That's interesting. So, the enemy's losing casualties, just for the sake of losing casualties, it seems. Maybe so they can ride home and say they pressed the attack with all sorts of vigor, but it is not a well-coordinated assault. It is not seriously threatening our line. Okay, they just had cavalry charge into breastworks. Spoiler alert, that's not going to work. Hello, Southern. We're just wrapping up the Battle of Shiloh here, I think, unless there's a second-day counterattack, which there very may well be. But given we held every objective for the required time until they were no longer objectives, I kind of feel like you should be able to win this thing in one day, just like you can win Gettysburg in one day. But apparently not. Proceeding to the next day. We held, but the fight is not over. The rebels stand ready to attack us again, but probably they don't know that all our reinforcements are now present. We can counterattack and sweep them from the field. Okay. So now we have to go back and counterattack against all... 0 out of 40 brigades. Counterattack against all of the forces that we... and retake all the objectives that we surrendered on the first day. That seems silly. Let's go back to camp here. I don't have any money to buy more supply. So that's a problem. These multi-day battles, I just... What's left of our army? So, we lost most of the 2nd Division. The 1st Division's actually in pretty good shape, and go figure, they're the division that have... they're the division that has the best guns, so that makes sense. These guys only lost about 500. These guys lost a little bit less than 400. These lost almost 900, but still, they're all still alive. The 2nd Division lost 2 brigades, one of cavalry, which I made a suicidal counterattack just for the sake of buying time, which saved the objective for us. And 1 infantry brigade, I believe Early's brigade, was driven from the field. Or maybe, actually, I didn't. Manny's still alive, so that cavalry charge didn't kill him. He's still around. Anyway, continue into day 2, I suppose. So now we've got to turn around and drive the enemy back and retake all of our objectives that we already took in the first place. We desperately fought yesterday and managed to hold Pittsburgh Landing. Our heroic fighters did not let the rebels advance further. All brigades of General Buell are here. We can now initiate a counterattack to sweep the Confederates away from the field. Okay, so I'm mainly going to use Buell's forces to counterattack and leave our own troops out of it. I'll let our troops man the fortifications, but I don't want to get them any more shot up than they already are. I think Buell by himself should be able to counterattack. So, it says we hold these objectives, interestingly. I think we just need to counterattack and take everything. So, at least one must be fulfilled. Hold Spain Church, Shiloh Church, Larkin Bell Field, and Pittsburgh Landing. Okay, well, we already hold these 3, but obviously they're going to take them probably as soon as the battle begins. I wouldn't mind letting the Confederates try to attack us and see what develops. We've got, looks like a new fresh division up here. These guys haven't fought yet. Got some fresh cavalry up here, so this whole division's fresh. These guys are all out of supply. Do we get resupplied? Doesn't look like we got resupplied between battles. Some of our troops still have pretty good ammo loadouts. But Buell brings his own supply goods, so we can use that. Okay. I think the easiest is just to drive directly south. Guess. I'm not really sure. All right, everyone, and that was a little bit shorter of a stream, I know, or video. That was only about 20 minutes, but we have pulled our forces back. April 6th is over. We're now in our strong defensive works at the start of April 7th, the second day's battle of the Battle of Shiloh. So I think this is a natural stopping point. In our next video, we'll explore what happened on April 7th, that fateful second day of the Battle of Shiloh, where the battle was decided. Spoiler alert, a 150-year-old spoiler alert, the Union won the Battle of Shiloh. But we'll discuss more about that in our next video. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and until next time, as always, this is the Historical Gamer saying thank you very much for watching and continuing to tune in and continuing to support the channel. And until next time, this is the Historical Gamer once again saying thank you for watching, and I'm out.